How will the public, residents in Hinton, see this consultation?
Well,
How will it be embodied? Will there be meetings, surveys, or is it more informal?
combination of all of the above. We're going to have open house forums where we're going to invite people to sit down and have discussions with the folks that we've got coming into the community. But we've also done a fair bit of this work over the past 2 years. Unlike a lot of our other communities, Hinton took the time, and our Economic Development Committee actually led a process starting 2 years ago. Because don't forget that even before the mountain pine beetle started to become an issue of concern, softwood lumber agreement was an issue of concern, and the Canadian dollar exchange rate, based on the fact that our lumber industry is primarily a net exporter to the United States, there was a lot of other challenges that were already facing us. So as a result of that, we've done a fair bit of public consultation 2 years ago. We revalidated that last year with the Business Vitality Initiative led by the Hinton Economic Development Committee as well. So for Hinton, it's more about trying to actually implement what we've learned and what we've heard. It's not going to be so much about consulting to understand what could we be doing. That work's already been done. For us, I'd suggest Hinton's going to be taking a leadership perspective of trying to actually now implement some of the learnings that we've gathered through our phase of diversification planning. The challenge is going to be, though, people either, one, don't have the money, or two, they're just scrambling for their own survival in their own businesses. So when you come to them and talk to them about possible new opportunities of diversification, it quite often falls on deaf ears. And then there's also that idea that tends to be fairly prevalent in Alberta, and certainly here in Hinton, that no worries, it'll all come around again. That we've been through this before. The industry's been down in lumber, it's been back. The industry's been down in gas and oil, and it's been back. Coal mining goes down and it comes back. And we live in this economy where we don't have to do anything but wait, and it will eventually come back. But that's not good enough for this council or this administration in the town of Hinton. We're determined to find that extra leg to the economic stool that gives it more stability. And for us right now, it's twofold. Tourism, which is going to continue to be a major focus of a growth opportunity, and the potential for post-secondary educational opportunities like trades such as nursing, various automotive, welding, electrical, the things that we need to have a robust, vibrant economy, as well as the potential for university transfer and things like that. So we've got a fairly good plan. It's a matter of implementing it now.
And there was talk of trying to attract or retain a post-secondary institution.
Yeah.
Within Hinton. Where's that process right now?
It's going to be a long process. There's no question. When we were first entertaining what would diversification look like for Hinton and region, one of the things that we identified at the time was a lack of youth in our community and in our region. Folks, our children tend to leave our community to go away to go to school. They don't often come home. If they need to get trades training, even if they're working for local employers, they often have to go to the city for 4 and 5 and 6 months at a time, which is awfully hard on the individual family unit when these folks are off taking their trades training. What we identified at the time that a cure-all, fix-all could be to keep youth or attract youth to the community would be to have a post-secondary facility available in Hinton. When we started looking into this and to see what the viability of something like that would look like, we learned a couple of things. One, there isn't the type of post-secondary education that we visualize, campus-based educational facility, for example, anywhere in the region. We've got the Yellowhead Regional Educational Consortium that offers programming and university transfer courses, but essentially what they're doing is meeting a need in rural Alberta that's been hard to define and hard to meet previously. So we'd have to partner with YREC for whatever this might be. But we're one of the few regions in all of Alberta that doesn't have a campus setting post-secondary education opportunity available. The other thing we've learned is that it's not going to be easy and it's not going to be cheap. We've learned that the province, meanwhile, is also going through a review process about how they're going to support post-secondary education in the province of Alberta. And they came up with a Campus Alberta idea, whereby they're assigning various regions of the province to specific individual learning institutions that already exist. So for example, the University of Alberta has responsibility now for areas like Camrose and areas that are surrounding Edmonton. U of C has responsibilities for areas around the region of Calgary, and the University of Grand Prairie, and Grand Prairie College, and Lethbridge. All were giving specific regions and zones that they take responsibility for. Meanwhile, we find out that Norquest College in Edmonton now has responsibility for delivering post-secondary education in Hinton and our region. So what we've done is we've met with their president and chairman of their board of governors to talk to them about this concept of post-secondary education opportunities being available in Hinton on a regional basis. And we've gotten the support from them that they understand their mandate requires them to help us find out how we're going to be able to deliver the courses that are needed out here. Meanwhile, though, they've got their own business plan about how they're going to grow their campus in Edmonton while meeting their mandate that they've been given by the provincial government on a regional basis. So we've started the beginnings of a friendship, I would suggest, where we're going to figure out how this works in both parties' interests so that we can ultimately meet the needs of learners in rural Alberta out here in Hinton and region. So we're going to be meeting again with Northwest early in 2010 and putting together a plan that makes sense to both them and to us. But this will be a long-term project, many years out before we'll see finalization. But the beauty of having...
Sorry, what do you mean by many years?
Well, it's hard to define. For one thing, what's the cost of building a campus and what are the needs and what's going to drive it? I would suggest that what's going to drive a project like this is going to be needs. So doing a needs identification, which we did last year, shows how many students we're losing from the region to places outside of our region. Whether the students are going to University of Alberta, University of Calgary, Grand Prairie, wherever, they're leaving, there's a net loss, an out-migration of students. Okay, so that's one area of it. Then what is the return on the investment? What happens? Who's going to invest in campus? How can you afford to build it? Where are you going to build it? And why would you build it? All questions that have yet to be answered. So this is going to be a long process of, one, building the capacity and understanding the need. The need will drive the investment, and the investment allow us to build as needed. So first we have to have a plan. And the plan is identify some land, identify the partners, and continue to identify the need. And that will drive the actual building of a campus facility. Well, without having an understanding of the need and without having a plan in place, we just be kind of like wandering around out there not really understanding what the end of the journey is going to look like. At this point, we have an understanding of what the end of the journey would look like. It's how we get from here to there that is going to be the ongoing question and the ongoing development of our plan in concert with the various partners that have an interest. So I can't say by year such and such there will be a campus in town. I've got nothing to base that on. But I can tell you that we've identified a need for that, and now we have to figure out in this new economy how we can make that happen. And that's going to be our greatest challenge to this diversification initiative of post-secondary education.